And tonight, one person who is not at all enthusiastic about the impeachment trial is actually weighing in, the current president.
Do you support Mitch McConnell's timeline for a February impeachment trial?
I haven't heard the detail of it, but I do think that having some time to get our administration up and running, the more time we have to get up and running and meet these crises, the better.
Phil Mattingly is out front live near the White House tonight. Manu Raju is out front on Capitol Hill. Manu, let me start with you. Obviously, you've been talking to all the players here, the unrepentant Josh Hawley, and a trial that was scheduled to go next week. That was the deal. Pelosi was sending it over. Senate be damned. Now there's a delay. Why did Schumer agree to delay the trial?
Well, the article will still be sent over on Monday, but you're right. There will be a delay when the actual arguments will take place. In fact, there was bipartisan support to delay the trial for some time because of what we're seeing in the Senate, which is gridlock. Joe Biden has had only 2 cabinet nominees confirmed so far. There'll be a third on Monday, Janet Yellen to the Treasury Department. And that is much different than we've seen the pace of past predecessors, and Democrats in particular are pushing to try to get some more of these nominees confirmed. So they were open to the idea of pushing back the time frame here. As you heard, Joe Biden also signal some support. Now, this also comes at a time as Republican support for convicting Trump is waning. There's hardly any Republicans who are in that camp right now. I surveyed Republicans up and down today and in the last several days, and it's very clear the consensus is growing that there just simply will not be 67 senators to convict Donald Trump. There would need to be 17 Republicans who would break ranks. Only a handful at the moment look likely that they might break ranks, according to multiple Republican senators that I talked to, like Senator Lindsey Graham, Senator John Cornyn of Texas told me the chances are virtually nil that there would be actually 17 Republicans breaking ranks. And part of it has to do with some are still very close Trump allies and loyalists. Others contend that this is unconstitutional to go after a former president. This has never been done before, but there's a disagreement about the constitutionality. Democrats and legal scholars would argue that there is actual precedent in the Senate to go after a former federal official. But all of that, Aaron, will play out in the trial, which will start on the week of February 8th, after the impeachment article is delivered next week. But mid-February will be the key time when the senators will cast their vote. But at the moment, the chances of convicting Donald Trump, very slim.
And of course, that raises all sorts of, questions as to what the impact that will have on the Biden presidency. Something Biden foresaw, by the way. We all know he was lukewarm at best. Democrats were honest about that on impeachment to begin with. So let's go to Phil Mattingly near the White House. Phil, we knew Biden wasn't hot on this to start with, and now here we are. And it's going to have a Senate trial and could fail. Doesn't sound like Biden wants much to do with the impeachment trial. Do you have any word yet from the White House on this agreement to a delay?
Yeah, Aaron, officially the White House is not commenting tonight, but obviously you saw what the president and played what the president said earlier today. And I think the reality is this. This is an administration that obviously acknowledges what happened on January 6th. And as White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki has repeatedly said, as she's kind of walked a very fine line on this one, is the president obviously viewed President Trump as unfit for office. He ran against him and beat him. But they also know what an impeachment trial means. And they also know that what it means, in large part, would be shutting down their agenda, not just their nominees, which they want to move forward as quickly as possible to get the president's team in place, but also the momentum created by a series of days that have already been planned out into next week on executive actions, in large part reversing a lot of policies from the Trump administration or ramping up their own policies as it pertains to the pandemic, as it pertains to the economic crisis, but also their legislative agenda, the $1.9 trillion COVID relief proposal that they've put out there. They know there is a ton of work that needs to be done to try and wrangle Republican support for that, to try and reshape that proposal in a way that can pass both the House and the Senate. That work can't be done if a trial is ongoing in the Senate. This will give them some space, but it also underscores the Biden team wanted some room to run. Now they at least have a couple weeks, Aaron.
Right, a couple weeks. But of course, you got this giant, whatever you would like to call it, hanging around your neck, waiting for it, right? You can't get it in the rearview mirror. All right, Phil, thank you very much. So out front now, one of the impeachment managers for House Democrats, Congressman Eric Swalwell from California. So, Congressman, what is your reaction to the Senate Majority Leader Schumer's decision? He just has announced, right, that the second impeachment trial for Trump is now delayed until February 9th.
We're ready, Aaron. Good evening. We're ready. We could be in trial tonight. We can be in trial in 2 weeks. It's really up to the Senate. But we have a case to make, and whether it's tonight or it's in 2 weeks, the evidence won't change. The president incited our citizens to attack our Capitol, and once that happened, did nothing to stop it.
So, of course, the facts are the facts, and we've all laid them out. The question is what the Republicans in the Senate will do. I mean, do you have any concerns, Congressman, that you're going to lose momentum and lose support to convict Trump the longer this process goes on? And I suppose I should caveat that by saying the support's not there right now, so I guess you would only have time to gain it. I mean, how does this delay work for you?
Well, the minority leader, Mitch McConnell, wanted a delay out of a sense of fairness for the president, and that's fine. We're not opposed to that. We don't want to rush this, and if the president needs time to put together his team over the next 2 weeks, that's fine. As I said, we will be ready. We want this to be fair more than anything, and the evidence isn't going to change. And we're looking at this as every vote is up for grabs. Every senator ran for their life. Every senator sent the same text message I sent to my wife or loved one about my personal safety being threatened. So they know what happened. The senators aren't only jurors, they're victims.
So our Jamie Gangel and Michael Warren are reporting that a member of Congress said, quote, Mitch McConnell said to me, he wants Trump gone. It's in the GOP interest to have him gone. But it, what that means is they don't want him coming back. Now, there's different ways they could think they could achieve that, right? They may think that convicting him helps or doesn't help in terms of their play with the Trump base. So how many Republicans do you really think are up for grabs right now?
Again, we're looking at this not as Republicans or Democrats, but just Americans who were attacked. And Aaron, I hope they vote to convict because they want to hold the person who incited this attack accountable. I hope they vote to convict because they want to deter a president in the future from doing this again, because the only time you'd try and pull off a coup would be in the very last days of your presidency. So we have to show to deter future presidents, we'll hold you accountable all the way up to the last second. And yes, the penalty would be disqualification from office, which seems appropriate for someone who has such a disdain for our democracy and public safety.
And again, I just want to make it always clear to viewers that if you do not convict him in the Senate, then they cannot remove him from, prevent him from ever running from office again. First, they have to convict by a 2/3 majority, right, and then he ban him with a majority. So, Congressman, we learned yesterday that President Trump has picked Butch Bowers. He's an attorney from South Carolina to be part of his defense team. Now, the Wall Street Journal reports that the guy who set this up is going to be a juror in the trial, Lindsey Graham, the Republican senator who is essentially Trump's consigliere on a lot of this stuff. So do you see a problem with that? Can Senator Graham be a juror when he's helping Trump with his defense?
Aaron, I'm not worried about that. The president is entitled to a lawyer, just like any American accused of a crime or in any proceeding is entitled to a lawyer. And I just hope Senator Graham can be objective about what Donald Trump did in the weeks leading up to this with the big lies that he told, how he radicalized the terrorists who came to the Capitol, and how he did nothing once he incited them to attack it. So I'm not passing any judgment on Senator Graham at this point on that.
All right. Well, Congressman, I appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. And I want to go now to Gloria Borger, our chief political analyst, and the Republican former governor of Ohio, John Kasich, also a former U.S. congressman. So, Gloria, Schumer has agreed to what McConnell wants to delay the trial. Obviously, he thought that was the best chance they had. I mean, obviously, if you were going to go ahead with this next week when Pelosi sends them over, it would appear to be doomed to failure from our reporting, right? Diminishing support at this time. But does the delay help? I mean, I guess if you were going to fail now, a delay is better than nothing. But I mean, what's the strategy here?
Well, look, I think everybody got a little bit of what they wanted. It's clear that Joe Biden really didn't want this thing to proceed that quickly because he wants to get his confirmations through. McConnell asked for some more time. Schumer said, no, we'll give you a little less time. But I think they each got what they wanted here. And so I think it proceeds as the newly elected president really wants. He wants confirmations. He wants to get some stuff done potentially on his COVID relief bill. So I think it works for everyone.
All right. So Governor, let's say that it does, but let's say that it goes the way it would right now if there were a vote from our reporting. And things can change, right? Things can change as they delayed it. But right now, that would mean the president isn't convicted. He is not banned from future office. If that's the outcome, how much does that hurt President Biden and his agenda and the way the American people see him? By the way, he didn't want this whole thing, partly probably because of that. But how much could it hurt?
Well, first of all, I don't think we know where this is going. There's a report also today that Senator McConnell is kind of open to this.
Yep.
if Senator McConnell decides that he's going to convict, that's going to change some things over there with Republicans in the Senate. I was talking to some folks tonight about this, and they think they can see a way that they could get to maybe 10 votes, which would leave them 7 votes short. Oh. But as this is delayed, is there more information that's going to come out? And we're spending a lot of time talking about, the politics of this and that. But, I think what we can't forget is we saw something that we would have watched with the French Revolution. These people, think about what they did. See, I was there. I served in that place. And imagine them coming in there and 5 people dying and running around saying, "Where's Nancy?" like they're going to get her. The only thing that was missing there from the French Revolution is I don't think they had a guillotine outside. So, what this gets down to is where people are in the heart of their hearts. McConnell is a key to this. The balance against McConnell are the state parties, because the state parties are still supporting Trump. So if Trump is not convicted, what happens and how does that hurt Biden? I think you'll hear more from Trump. But at the end, it's up to Biden to figure out how he can have an agenda that can co-opt some of the Republicans in the United States Senate. So I don't think this depends on what happens with Trump.
So Gloria, what about what the governor is saying about Mitch McConnell? He is known for having control of his caucus, right? And he makes sure that he knows what's happening before he does anything. Is he waiting to kind of figure out where the winds are blowing? Does he already know what he's going to do? And I mean, it is very hard to read the tea leaves here on McConnell.
Well, that's what McConnell likes. He doesn't want you to read into what he's thinking. But we do know that he came out and he said that this was a mob that was provoked by the president. Those are his words. Provoked by the president. Privately, the reporting is that he's telling people he thinks the president deserves to be impeached. But he's also told his members, this is a vote of conscience. I'm not gonna lobby you one way or another. I'm not gonna tell you what you ought to do. We know how McConnell feels in his heart, but we have to wait and see how he's going to vote. There are a lot of people who are raising constitutional issues. They're saying, you can't do this to a former president of the United States. They don't like the process, all kinds of things. People will vote their conscience. I think at this point, I'd have to say you're not going to get many more than the 10 that Governor Kasich is talking about. If that, people will vote his conscience. But we do know McConnell doesn't want Trump to overhang the future of the Republican Party. He feels that very strongly. So where this will lead him personally, we have to wait and see, but he's not going to lobby anyone on it.
Final word, Governor Kasich.
Well, I just think that we don't know what's going to happen in the future. You've got a lot of investigations, a lot of arrests, a lot of information that's going to come out. That could change some things, but we just have to watch.
All right. Thank you both so very much.